Good morning. Welcome to the March AEE webinar. We appreciate everyone being here today. I want to welcome all of the AEE chapter officers to this third monthly AEE webinar. Today, our program, and I'm pulling that up now, has the following features in it. We have our folks from AEE in Atlanta, Bill Ken and Ruth Whitlock, and perhaps others will be giving us a little bit of information on what's going on there. We usually have a slot for our regional vice presidents, and we have held one for Mr. Joe Hall today. David DePriest for Region 2 is not available, but it'll be my intent as we run webinars into the future to have two of the AEE regional vice presidents to have a few minutes to address the audience. Today we have a panel, and we're going to be talking about AEE chapter meeting speakers and how does one go about getting speakers. And we've got Ms. Ruth Whitlock is going to talk about some availability of information that AEE has. And we've got Randy Buckner and David Hopper, who are active both in getting speakers for their chapters. So we've got those going. After that, we'll have questions for the panelists. And I've got a couple of polls, so feel free when those come up to answer those polls. And then this is an important part, that number 8 on the agenda is additional topics. And what we're trying to do with that is get any ideas of anything that anybody out there that's online in the webinar would like to talk to about. And then we'll close. So we've got about an hour's worth of information pulled together here. And I'd like to go ahead and begin by introducing Mr. Bill Ken at this point in time.
Thank you, Bob. So I want to welcome everyone. As Bob mentioned, this is our third, it's our chapter webinar, which is essentially a way where we can share best practices among our chapters, our chapter presidents, and our chapter officers. We're doing a separate set of webinars for AEE members on a monthly basis as well. So this is our third chapter officer, chapter president webinar, and we're pleased to invite all the chapter officers from all the regions across the U.S. to this webinar. And I'd like to make one announcement is that in Region 4, our Regional Vice President, Steve Pearson, was not able, as he was changing positions, to complete the term. And Robert Arrow, who was previous Regional Vice President for Region 4, has graciously accepted to complete the term for Stephen, and that was approved by the board. So he'll serve the remainder of the term Vice Presidency for 2018. Okay. Can you all see, Bob, can you see our slideshow?
Yes, sir. Coming through loud and clear.
Okay. So just a couple of slides to go, so you're not I'm not talking to a blank screen. There's a few things. First of all, so you put some faces, pictures with names on the webinar on behalf of AEE today from our headquarters here in Atlanta. Myself, we have Ruth Whitlock and Michelle Whitlock are all on the webinar. No relation between Michelle and Ruth, so that's who's on the webinar. Go ahead. So really want to just cover a quick high-level things is that, you know, we've added some new things for 2018 that we want to make you aware of so that you can share with your members. The first, as I mentioned, this is a chapter webinar. We're also doing member webinars. We've done those. We started those in January. We did one on, I think, climate change, carbon reduction. We did one on open software last month. This month, next month, April the 11th, Dr. Eric Woodruff's going to be doing energy efficiency, how investments beat Wall Street. That's going to be an interesting webinar. And then Rich Costello will be doing a webinar in May on opportunities to save dollars with rooftop units. And we have these scheduled out throughout the year. And so Michelle will be posting these on our website, and notices will go out and from AEE these that are available for members only. So it's essentially educational content. Okay. In addition, another member benefit is the proceedings from our 3 conferences, GlobalCon, the West Coast EMC, and WEEC. Those proceedings in the past have been available only to conference attendees via CD. We now have those available online. When you log into the AEE website, they're available electronically for all of our conferences, online, electronically files when you log in. In addition, at WEEC for the past 2 years, we started recording multiple tracks from the actual conferences. And so we also have recorded content from those from WEC available for members also. So really some content-based information from the webinars, conference proceedings, and actual recorded conference sessions are available as member benefits for AEE members. Okay. Just wanted to mention we had our GlobalCon event last week in Boston, a very good event. We had kind of a scare of a nor'easter coming in. That did not materialize. Had a great event, great speakers, training, exhibition, so overall good event. Just to make you aware of our events for this year and also for 2019, we'll be in Seattle for the West Coast Energy Management Congress in June this year. And then we'll be bringing WEEC to Charlotte in October, coming to Charlotte with our host, Duke Energy. For 2019, we'll be back in Boston for GlobalCon in March. We'll be going to Santa Clara, California, essentially the Bay Area of California, in June next year. And then we'll be bringing WEC back to our nation's capital. We'll be in DC in September of 2019. And so those, as you're planning ahead, those are the dates, and we'll be working on our 2020 dates and locations very soon as well. All of you have probably seen our new website that was launched last year. One of the things is we have live interactive maps showing chapters and training locations. So we have pins all around the world for our chapters. And we urge you to check, make sure your information on your chapter is correct. If not, send any information to Michelle at aeecenter.org. Final thing is, another thing we'd like to do this year is both myself and Clint Christensen, who is our current president for this year, 2018, would like to visit select chapters in every region, either and would like to ask for assistance between chapter officers, presidents, and the regional vice presidents in selecting those, either chapters, some of our most active and engaged chapters, or chapters that actually maybe need some encouragement or some interaction with headquarters. So we're scheduling chapter visits. Love to come and visit some of the chapters in your area. Ruth Whitlock will be coordinating those, and we'll be starting those visits or continuing those very soon. Our scholarships are open. The scholarships are open now for students, for student engineering students. The deadline is May the 1st. And one thing this year is, in the past, we've had one Al Tooman scholarship. In Al's honor and memory, we're going to be doing 3 Al Tooman scholarships in 2018. Those are $4,000 scholarships, so just be aware that we will be doing that. This year it's a little different than we've done in the past. And with that, I'd just like to turn it over to Ruth to go over a few chapter things, and thanks again for your participation today.
Good morning, and thank you for being here this morning. First, I want to say thank you to the New England chapter. We had a great show in Boston last week, and this chapter, as always, did a great job in supporting this show. Their chapter luncheon was well attended, and the program was very well received. Thank you to Chris and all the members of the New England chapter. I do have some things about the speakers list, but we'll get back to that later in the program. Have a few housekeeping details. I want to remind you that the nominations for Chapter Recognition Awards are due June 5th. We would love to see your chapter nominated for all that good work you're doing. There are a number of categories: website, newsletter, meeting, community service, conference and trade show, student chapter support, and best overall chapter performance. And this one carries, the last one carries a $1,000 cash prize. Please note that we've eliminated the category of most new members, and we've changed the Best Student Chapter to Best Student Chapter Support. This is because we do have a new program specifically for student chapters this year. Deb Lenny, the CWIL Liaison Chair, may have been in touch with you already. If not, I'm sure she will be. She needs a CWIL Liaison for each chapter. So if one hasn't been named for your chapter yet, please be thinking about that. As you know, we send you mail list of AE members in your area 3 times a year. But remember that they're also available at other times. Just shoot us a message and ask for it, and we'll be happy to send that to you. Please periodically check your website. Make sure it's current. It's very discouraging if people go on and see the last thing that was on there was in 2017. So please make sure it is up to date.
I'm listening here.
Professional scammers make calls and send emails representing themselves as our agents for hotel reservations or for mail lists for our show attendees. These guys are pros and can sound really convincing. They're getting more and more aggressive. Please alert your chapter members to either totally disregard these calls and messages or forward them to us. This has become a widespread problem in the trade show industry, and there are cases in the courts right now. Just make sure your members know not to give them your credit card information. If your chapter holds your own conference or trade show, please check the AE calendar before setting the date for yours to make sure there's no conflict. You can check our schedule online or give us a call. And we want to thank you for getting your operations reports for 2017 for us. Check for your appropriations payments will go after the close of the first quarter. At the same time, the checks for chapter dues for those chapters we collect for. And if we do not collect your chapter dues and you would like us to do so, just please let us know and we can get that set up for you. And remember that anyone joining AE through your chapter is entitled to a 50% discount off their first year's dues. They would enter Chapter 50, no space between the chapter and 50, in the coupon window on the member application. I want to remind you that the Chapter President's Manual is available online with comprehensive information about AEE, the parent organization, and AEE, the network of chapters. It is an awful lot of information, though, so if you have a question, just send us an email or call us for a quick answer. Thank you for all you do. And remember, we're here to support you. Never hesitate to contact us whenever we can be of help. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate that. And we now move on down the line. I'm not sure if Joe Hall of Regional Vice President is online or not. Joe, are you there? Okay, not hearing Joe online and not seeing him on the attendee list. We're going to move on to our panel. Again, our panel topic is AEE chapter meetings, speakers. How do you get speakers? Where do they come from, and what can be done? The 3 people we have again on that panel today is Ruth Whitlock from AEE, Brandy Buckner from Huntsville chapter, the program manager for that, and David Hopper from East Tennessee. He's the president over there. Ruth, if it's okay with you, I'd like to start with you.
Sure. Yeah, great. That would be super. Just remember, as you plan your programs for your upcoming meetings, please keep in mind that AE maintains a chapter speakers referral list. The list is made up of individuals referred to us by AE chapters or AE executive committee. These speakers are known to make quality presentations, and many do not require any compensation. The list will indicate if they do, and also where they would be available. We invite your referrals as well. If you've had a speaker that your chapter just really thought was top-notch, we would really love to add him or her to the speakers list if that's what they would like. It does require the speaker's agreement. We'll send you a form to fill out and return to us, and we will get them on the list. We do have a new development to tell you about. This year, we're asking the authors of AE books if they would be interested in speaking to chapters about their books. We will keep this list updated as new referrals are added. If there might be a particular book whose author you would like to hear, let us know, and we will make inquiries for you. for privacy purposes, the speaker's referral list is not posted on the website as a chapter resource. However, it is available upon request. So just send me a message and I will get the most current list out to you.
Okay, Ruth, thank you very much for that information. I'm going to move over to Randy Buckner. And Randy, I'd like for you to go ahead and give us some insight on to how the Huntsville chapter goes about seeking speakers for their chapter meetings.
Great. Well, this is Randy Buckner. Talked a little bit last month, but I'm here on a different topic. I am the local Huntsville chapter programs manager. I wouldn't call myself a director. I'd be directing myself. But I've been doing it since about 2013 is when I started getting involved. So I've gotten about a little over 5 years experience with doing this. And experience is probably, hey, Bob, can you bring up the first chart real quick? I lost access to most of them, so I'm not seeing them. So.
Okay. My screen is showing it. So Michelle, can you see if you can provide me any support here?
Anybody else seeing it? If everybody else
here it is. That should have done. Okay, we're up. Go ahead, Randy.
Excellent. So, this is a process I probably learned over the first year and a half or so, and I've got it down pretty good, so they won't let me leave that job. But, where do they come from? And I went back over the last 5 or 6 years, and, you've got, where do we get our speakers and what type of topics do we present? And we've gotten pretty good. I won't say it's me. We've gotten pretty good across the chapter about how to do this. We either have members of the local chapter come in because they are involved with energy efficiency programs. They're certified. We do our own certification. We talked about last month. But they're either working on projects or specific programs, or they're directly involved with technologies, or just places an interest, a specific interest area in the world of energy. And so we reach out to our members quite often. I'll show you that in the next chart. We also use local leaders. We have several 501c3 energy businesses in town. The mayor set up a Energy Huntsville group, and so there's that. They meet on a monthly basis, but they are also looking at what Huntsville and the region can do with respect to energy efficiency. And so AE supports them and they support us. We have 2 companies that are working on energy efficiency, 501c3 companies that are out doing stuff for like residents or for sustainable energy. And we also have the city school system, and we're very lucky here in Huntsville to have the Space Rocket Center. So those local leaders also have a tendency to focus on energy, and to that extent we grab them and have them come in and talk to us about what's happening actually here, which is really helpful. And then we have corporate people who represent corporate LED lighting or more sophisticated HVAC systems for businesses or corporations. And so they will come in and tell us about the latest and greatest technologies and stuff like types of compressors or different things. So we get really super technical from some of the corporate leadership, and they're not necessarily local. They come from all over, but we get to know them through our business partners, our members, our local leaders, and so we invite them in. And every once in a while, it's not just technologies. It might be talking about finance, because when you're looking at some of these things, finance becomes a big issue. Well, we can do it, we can save money, but we can't convince anybody. So we've had several topics through the years on the financial aspects of energy. And then the last one is educational. We have a university here, University of Alabama in Huntsville, and they bring in they, as well as other people involved in an Energy Start portfolio manager. We talk a lot about that. We have local people here that are involved with that, so we have them come in, and we also have our university professors come in on risk management, stuff like that. The topics we've been covering are energy efficiency, obviously, sustainable energy, auditing, baselining. Some of the certification processes AE offers is sort of supported by some of the topics we talk about. And again, that's either from actual projects and programs that are being done locally, as well as major corporations that come in and talk about some of the things they've supported in other areas. And of course, lastly, we always take at least one time a year. We always talk about our AEE aspects of whether we're providing certification programs or whether we're talking about the local and national award winners. And every year we take one meeting aside and focus solely on talking about what that is and how you can submit your request the next year. Go to the next chart, Bob. The next chart is nothing more than just a synopsis of the statistics, if you will, of what I've seen in the last 5 years as far as where do we go. And there we go. Excellent. So where do we get our speakers? Well, you can see that our members are actually represent probably, I don't have a percentage listed on there, but they're well over a third of the topics we get from our members. Our members literally come in. If I know somebody as a member who happens to be managing the entire Huntsville City School District and they're working on some Energy Star scores and stuff and what they're doing to improve their scores, I call them up and say, come on in. And sometimes it's a local government people that might be at the arsenal, the Army's doing some work and stuff like that, or somebody from the city. Again, there are local people that aren't necessarily members of AEE, but they may be running the Space and Rocket Center, and they all come in and talk to us about some of the efficiency programs. And of course, there's about a third of us a third of our meetings that come in with a corporate level. Then when you look at the topics we provide, you can see that we're fairly heavily focused on technical. So almost 45% of all of our meetings have a tendency to be located on technical. And then, of course, a good 25 to 30% is on programs. Those are our two big ones. Programs are actually projects, products, things that done. I myself put a solar system on 50 kW solar system on our building's property. And so I came in after about a year of collecting all the data for solar and the financials and came in and talked for several times. Once at the beginning on the financial piece and later on after a year of production and how that has actually been implemented in the building. And then you can see it starts breaking down in a bunch of stuff. A 501c3 company will come in, talk about AEE, do baselining. And so we try to provide a wealth and breadth of visibility into the entire energy world as we go through our monthly programs on a yearly basis. That's about all I have.
Okay, Randy, we appreciate that very much. And we're now going to move over to David Hopper. And David, I don't believe you were going to use any slides, so I'm going to just turn the floor over to you at this time to tell us a little bit about how you guys up in Tennessee go about getting speakers for your chapter meetings.
All right, can everyone hear me? Because I've had some problems connecting this morning. Hopefully everything's working.
It's working good, David.
Great, great. Well, good morning, all. I'm glad to be speaking to everyone from East Tennessee today. It's my first opportunity to participate in the webinars. I think it's a great thing, and we started using webinars to get our board together in 2018. So it's a tool that we can all use and be very productive with. I didn't have all the good metrics that Randy had this morning, so I wanted to talk a little bit about our chapter as well as how we go about getting our speakers together. We're a relatively new chapter. We were chartered in 2012, so we'll be 6 years old this year. And our principal meeting location is here in Knoxville. We meet at Regulator Restaurant that has a nice facility for us to have visuals and big screen TV. East Tennessee chapter extends all the way from Chattanooga to Bristol, Virginia, which is over 200 miles in length. So Knoxville is located about the center of the region. We currently have about 135 members of AEE in the East Tennessee region. Our chapter has 60 paid members, and our average monthly attendance is about 18 members, which is about 30% of our paid membership. But those numbers are a little bit misleading because when I did our annual report, I found that over half of our membership, half of those 60 paid members attended one or more meetings this past year. So 50% participation is pretty good in my book. So As I say, we are a fairly young organization, and we've been very fortunate that we've had some great leadership and people involved in our organization since its inception. Currently, we have 5 officers and board members who were charter members and have been involved since we organized. And I will say that being a new organization, we've had a pretty good learning curve on how to do things, and to date, all the officers and the board and the members have just kind of all pulled together to identify good speakers and put our programs together. And we've been fortunate that we've had a number of good speakers and a number of good programs. East Tennessee may be kind of unique because it's a large industrial area. We have a number of headquartered companies here. Pilot Flying J has their corporate headquarters located in Knoxville. TVA has headquarters here. Of course, we have our University of Tennessee and University of Tennessee Medical Center, and I know everyone's familiar with Oak Ridge National Labs and Y-12 Security Complex. But we have a wide variety of large companies and institutions who use quite a lot of energy, and as a result of that, we have a lot of interest and participation in energy programs in our area, a lot of interest. And so who are our speakers? Who have we had over the past 6 years speak with us? Well, believe it or not, we've had some very good presentations from vendors and suppliers to some of the companies and people that I spoke about. Generally, those are people involved in sales or sales management, and we've got a rule that you can't make a sales pitch to our organization, so they're talking in general about their products and experiences with products and not trying to sell us on their product. Other types of people who have spoken have been engineering folks. We've had a number of mechanical engineers speak to us from TVA, from the lab, and from University of Tennessee. We also have had a few educators. Knoxville has an active energy program and an energy manager, and their primary job is to educate the public. So they've been involved in our program. We've also had good experience working with TVA and some of the local electric utilities who have come in and given presentations about some of the novel approaches that they are taking to reduce energy and do a better job of managing energy. We also have a board member who works for CenterPoint Energy, which CenterPoint is an electricity and a gas supplier. Here in East Tennessee, they primarily provide gas, and so they've supported our organization, provided speakers from time to time as well. Some of the types of topics that we've covered in our programs, CenterPoint gave us a good pricing and supply forecast for natural gas for this past year. We recently had a case study presented of a microgrid system that is installed and then being installed at a Marine Corps facility. University of Tennessee had a gentleman who has the only program at a university that is about reliability and maintainability of equipment, and he recently gave us a nice presentation about what the university is doing and how many corporate sponsors that the University of Tennessee has for that program. Typical energy stuff we talk about is retro commissioning costs and benefits. We've had people come in and speak with us about steam traps and energy usage and losses from these equipment failures. TVA's been in a couple of times and talked with us about some of their programs, particularly for commercial and industrial customers. We have had a good relationship and have provided some scholarships to the UT's mechanical engineering students, and they recently provided us a program on some research they're doing on vanadium flow batteries with hopes that they can be used for demand side management. And then, of course, with Pilot Flying J being here in Knoxville, we've had a couple of presentations, one about their installation of rapid charging stations for electric vehicles at some of their travel centers. This is a test program they're doing with the Tesla company. And also, Pilot Flying J is replacing a lot of their hot water heaters with tankless hot water heaters. They use hers and for the restaurant facilities there in those convenience centers. So that is working out well for them. Something that we've done for the last two times that the event has been held in Kingsport, there's an event held biannually in Kingsport called the EChem Expo. And this is this event is sponsored by last session, and this year, well, actually next week, we have sponsored a panel discussion dealing with an energy topic or an energy security topic. The last panel discussion we did had 3 people or 4 people present on the future of energy. This year, we were fortunate that we got an IT person from Eastman, an IT person from the Oak Ridge National Lab, and a gentleman from the FBI that we're going to be presenting a program on how to secure industrial controls and how they can secure controls can enable energy management. One of the things that we did last year, we had one gentleman like Randy that was primarily involved in getting our program. I think we sort of wore him out. It's a big job to get quality programs and maintain quality speakers. So this year we established a 3-member committee, and we've entitled it the Technical Program and Continuing Education Committee. And our plan is to have these 3 persons work with our membership and with others to identify good speaker topics and to contact speakers, so that all of this responsibility doesn't just fall on one member, because many of our members are still fully employed at other jobs. And then, as I say, it's a big job to present good technical programs on a continuing basis each month. Another thing we think is going to help us is that we established a new chapter position called Website Developer and Communications Coordinator. How do you contact people when you do have a good speaker? We use a tool called Eventbrite that has worked well for the last 6 years. But when I start looking at statistics, that's one thing we do have statistics about. When I looked at the statistics of how many invites we received, the information, it's a very small percent. So one of the things we're working on with this new position is that alternative ways in which we can communicate to our membership to be certain that they do get opportunity to participate in anything that we have going on. I guess the other thing that we've tried to do unsuccessfully to date is try to plan some social events with everybody being spread over a 200-mile area. It's difficult to find a date and a time where you can get many more than 25 or 30 people together, but we're hopeful that we can do at least a couple of socials during this coming calendar year to get people more actively involved and participating, coming to our programs. And the other thing that I, as president this year, have done is that we've expanded our board, and we've got 3 under 40. I call them young people because I've got quite a lot of gray hair myself. So with these younger people getting involved, we're hoping that will make a difference and get some of our younger engineers and technicians involved in participating in our chapter and working together with us to continue to provide quality programs and educational opportunities. So that pretty well wraps it up for me, I guess, Bob. Any questions? Do you want to take questions of any of us?
Well, I'm going to move into the questions, David. Thank you very much for that. And as to our general audience here, we've now heard from three panelists. Ruth has let us know some ideas and EE. There's a list of speakers there, topics and information available. And I guess, Ruth, you would be a good point of contact for that, should someone want to reach out to you.
Yes.
Okay. We've heard from Randy Buckner there in Huntsville, and of course we've just now heard from David up in East Tennessee and how that chapter is going. There is a little line that says questions about 3 lines up from the bottom, and this would be a good time for anyone that has any questions of our panelists to go ahead and send us a question. Type in that question, and when you do that, we will have one of our panelists answer that question, and we'll get to you. But we need to do that while we're live, and so this is a period of time that's open to take questions and get feedback from the audience. So I'm looking right now, and I don't see any with questions, but I would appreciate and would encourage you to type some in and send them along to us. These folks have got a lot of experience, and I know when I was a chapter president, one of the hardest things that we had to do, I know in your position, you certainly can appreciate that. So I thought this might be a topic that would be worth discussing today.
A comment, because I didn't really cover it when I talked, and
Sure.
That was, when I first got started, obviously it was on me, and I didn't know a whole lot of people at the time because I was just getting involved in the whole mess area and stuff like that. But now it's just, I just encourage everybody. If I hear, far be it from me to hear somebody across the room talking about a new chiller they're getting ready to put in, and I'll be over there talking to them about it and find out a little bit more about it. And of course, my intent is to find out when it's going to be done so I can invite them to come in and talk to the group. So if you let me knowing you're doing something in town, you're probably going to be speaking in front of our group. So, and I have a lot of people in the group that come to me and go, hey, so-and-so's doing this, or Toyota's got a sustainability program going on now. So I contact Toyota, and they're here in town, and they're coming in about 2 months to talk to us about their entire sustainability program. So actually talking it up and just getting ideas from people and then following up. So that's really been helpful, is using the membership to identify what they'd like to hear and where I might be able to be pointed, or where they can actually make a phone call for me and get the whole process started. That has probably been the single-handedly easiest part of my job, is getting 7 to 10 other people in the organization to send me ideas.
Good point, Randy. Thanks for bringing that in. Do either of the other panelists want to have any follow-on comments, Ruth or David?
Well,
I
would
remember.
just...
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ruth.
Oh, well, I was just going to say that I remember when Gary Hogsett, who was the president of AE in 2012, took over his chapter. It was not dead in the water, but it was not doing that, to make sure that there was a speaker at each meeting, that people would look at that notice and say, oh, well, I might be able to miss other meetings, but I can't miss this one, to turn people away, because there was a limit on the capacity in the meeting rooms where he was holding his meetings. So it worked. He said it was a lot of work, as our panelists have said. It doesn't just happen. Somebody makes it happen. But he said he was committed to making each meeting a meeting that they could not afford to miss, because what they were going to hear, what they were going to learn was too valuable. So getting the right speaker and the right program is really important to attendance, because it's so easy to that day say, I won't go today. But if it's a speaker or a tour or project or something that just is so appealing that you think, well, I might miss next month, but not this month, and then that happened every month, and at the end of that year, that chapter that had been languishing, it takes a lot of commitment, but it can be done.
Thank you, Ruth. I appreciate that. Very good comments. David?
Well, and I would just say that too. Some of our best attended events have been plant tours and facility tours. Volkswagen in Chattanooga was kind enough to give us a grand tour there, and assembly plant in Chattanooga. And I encourage people to try to do that at least once or twice a year. Get out of your normal habits and go out and try to set up a good plant tour or a tour of a facility, because those have been historically some of our best attended events.
David, I would certainly agree with that. The Huntsville chapter has done some of that in the past, and it's worked out well. Randy, while this isn't exactly a program comment, would you mind mentioning the social event that Huntsville chapter does in December?
Absolutely. December is a really tough time, but it's also called Christmas time. That's why it's sort of a tough time. But we started about 4 years ago, decided we wanted to have a social, and we figured at Christmas time would be a good time to do it. I'm very fortunate to work at a company that has a really nice venue. We have a big kitchen, a bunch of tables, and so we were able to host it the second year, and we just kept it here. And so every Christmas and during that, we try to do it a little early in December, because the closer to mid-December you get, the harder it is for people to do it. And so we just, it's free. We get a couple bucks out of the till, and we go buy some cheese and crackers and some drinks, and we bring it in and we set it all up. And then we usually have about 15, 25 people come, and we can bring their spouse, and it's just a nice social event. And people are starting to look forward to it every year. And so it's good to have those social events. I was thinking, well, we ought to have one in July or something when it's not so intense. We'd probably get some people out there, but then we'd have to find a venue with a pool, I think. But it works out real well.
Thank you, Randy. I appreciate that. Okay, it looks like our panelists have either done an excellent job and answered all the questions, or we've got a rather timid audience today, and that's fine either way. We're going to move on to the polls. I have 2 polls today, and I would like for everyone to participate. And the first one is it talks about how do you currently locate speakers, and you've got hopefully you see that poll up now. It's got a poll must be closed to enable screen sharing. Well, okay, close. Is that poll up now? Can you see it?
I can.
Okay. You cannot.
Yeah, I can now. Yes.
Okay, good. So if you would take your time and fill that
now,
in.
Bob, you're showing the results. So that's not the poll right now.
Okay. I must have done it a little too quick. Let's see if I can do that again. You're not dealing with the smartest guy, brightest light in the harbor. I can tell you that right now. Okay, here we go. Let's oh gosh, let's see if I can reset this poll here. Manage polls. All right. There should be a poll. Nope, that's not it. All right, let's just do anything. Let's move on. I had hoped to be able to find out how people are getting the your speakers, but it looks like that's not going to work for me today. All right. If you would look down at the questions tab and send me in the chat tab and send me a chat on how you're getting your speakers to date. We can do this another way. If I could just get the audience to go down to getting speakers today, that would be beneficial, because we're trying to summarize what's the best way to do that, how we can make that happen. All right. Okay. Well, it doesn't look like it's going to work for me today. There's another learning experience I'll have to work on and try to get a little bit better. The additional topics part is where we are right now in our agenda, and this is where the audience has the opportunity to send us any topic that they want to talk about, any topic whatsoever. So I'm going to hold pat for just a few minutes while we look for input. But the topics that you would send in at this time are the topics that we would use to develop our webinar topic of the day for future webinars. And if you don't have one currently and on the top of your head that you're ready to send in right now, you can certainly send one in later to me and you to the invite. I'm going to go around the horn now, and we'll start, Bill, with you if that's okay. And I believe we were going to make an announcement about the regions that we've currently got ordered with them.
Bob, we were muted. So I think with webinars, we'd like to include all regions on these webinars so that so we're not doing the same topic on the Eastern and then the Western. So I think we want to monthly begin to have these combined for all the regions. Is that what you're asking?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. We've opened it up this time to the all regions in the U.S. and we wanted to see how that worked out, and we'll be doing that in the future as we move forward. Bill or Ruth, do either of you have any closing comments that you'd like to leave us with today as we go around the horn?
Just as I said earlier, to serve you, and if we can help with anything, answer questions or point you in the right direction, please do feel free to contact any of us. And I can send you a list of our staff with their contact information if you would like to have that, because you might have particular questions about membership, certificate. That will give you the information you need to contact directly the person who is most closely associated with that program.
Thank you, Ruth. Appreciate that. Going around to our panel, Randy, any closing comments? Okay. David, any final words?
Well, our greatest resource has been our chapter members, so I would encourage you when you're trying to get good speaker or other meetings to not be timid and work with your members, because generally they are very they're reluctant to talk about some of the things they're doing, but I found that a lot of our members are doing some fantastic things and can put on some very interesting programs.
Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Okay, we're going to go ahead and wrap things up today. Looking forward, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us on our AWE webinar today. We look forward to seeing all of you on the 26th of April, which is our very next webinar. Tell your other chapter officers about this. Send in your ideas and thoughts to us. We look forward to picking up topics that are relevant to each and every one of you. Also, a link to this webinar will be set out. Michelle Whitlock will be doing that and sending that out, because this webinar has been recorded, and you'll be able to see it or pick up on anything that you may have missed. With that said, I'm going to go ahead and close things down today. Thanks again for joining us. Talk to you next month. Goodbye.